Hey, what up? It's Carter from the Peekaboo Boxing Academy, and I want to start off today's video by asking you a simple question. What would your life look like if you followed through on every commitment that you made to yourself? What would your boxing ability look like? What would your boxing career be like if you were operating on all cylinders and you were maximizing and getting the most out of your full potential? What if you reached your full potential? What if you followed through on all those commitments? You got the most out of every single workout, and you just had that discipline that just helps you get the most out of yourself. What would life look like? Who would you make proud? Who that looks up to you, like how would that affect them to see you operating in that way? How would that make them feel? That little sibling that looks up to you, your parents that want to see you succeed. How would you feel about yourself if you knew that you were doing what you were supposed to do, even when nobody was looking? You were following through on all those commitments, and you were giving everything 110%. What would life look like? What would it be like? Get that picture clear in your mind and visualize that right now with me. Well, in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to make that picture a reality. All right? And you're going to do so by learning this simple but effective method that I've learned to leverage your own psychology, that I've learned over studying human being psychology for many, many years, okay? And you need this, especially as a boxer, because if you half-step in boxing, if you half-ass anything in boxing, you are risking getting hurt, okay? I know that you're tough, okay? I know that you're tough because you've chosen to challenge yourself, right? Voluntarily, you want to be a boxer. You want to learn boxing. I already know that you're tough. But we want to go about this in a smart way, okay? And that means we need to leverage everything that's going on in here so that we can get the most success on the outside, okay? Because your success is a reflection of what's going on in here. And this is what Customato taught his fighters. He taught them that it wasn't just about being tough, it was also about being smart and bringing the two together, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, and I'm going to help you with it. So for those of you who do not know me, my name's Carter Weber. I train fighters here at Customato's gym in Catskill, New York, and I was personally mentored by fighters that were trained by the great Teddy Atlas, the late great Customato, and who grew up with Mike Tyson himself, all right? So this is a simple concept, and really, where it starts with is the fact that in life, in boxing, in boxing, but especially in life, in anything in life, we always get what we want, okay? The amount of money we make, the level of ability that we show in the ring, whether or not we follow through on our commitments. We always get what we want in the end, but we just weren't aware of the part of us that wanted it. And that's the first thing that you need to understand and bring awareness to. If you were supposed to get up and run at 4 in the morning and you didn't do it, then there was a part of you that valued comfort over going on that run and being uncomfortable and reaping the rewards that you could get from that run. Right? And that part of you, it had more leverage, and it saw the comfort as having more value than the run, and that's why you didn't do the run. If you came into the boxing gym one night and you were training, but you just couldn't get the most out of your workout, and you were kind of just going through the motions, even though you wanted to get more out of it, but you were just going through the motions and you didn't know why, it's because the part of you that just wanted to go through the motions and not put your all into it, it had more leverage than the part of you that wanted to succeed. If you were to step in the ring, if you were to start sparring, and you went and you threw out that first punch in a timid fashion where you started to hesitate, and as a result you got clobbered because of that hesitation, that's because the part of you that didn't want to assert yourself had more leverage than the part of you that did want to assert yourself and did want to win, okay? And we have to understand why this is happening and how to completely flip this on its head so it doesn't happen anymore, okay? And you need to know this. Because if you do not know this, you're going to be like the other, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of horror stories that happen around the world where people attempt to be, boxers, but they just fail miserably because they don't know how to leverage their own psychology. So we're going to cover all of this and more in today's video. So as always, I want you to lock in, I want you to take notes, and I want you to follow through with this video and what we talk about. And let's crack into it. All right, so step one in this process of reclaiming yourself, of reclaiming your hidden potential so that you follow through, so that you maximize and get the most out of yourself, is what I like to call awareness, okay? So we're just gonna call that, we're gonna label that as, step one in this process. Boom. I'm gonna call it awareness. Boom. All right, awareness. All right, what do I mean by that? So we talked about in the intro the fact that you have different parts of yourself that are aligned towards different things, okay? So there's one part of you that's aligned towards this goal, which is comfort, which is aligned towards not doing the thing that you want to do. And then there's this other part of you, obviously because you're watching this video, that wants to succeed, that wants to do things so that you can become a better boxer and just a better person overall. All right, so awareness, what do I mean by that? Basically, you're shining the spotlight on yourself and you're figuring, you're introspecting, you're figuring things out about yourself. And really, the awareness is towards what I like to call the hidden payoffs, okay? These little deals that you're making with yourself where you're like, oh, I'm not going to give it my all. Oh, I'm not going to do the thing that I know I should do when nobody's watching. Or, I'm not going to get up and go for that run even though I know that'll help me. You're making a deal with yourself in exchange for comfort, okay? Or for something else. It could be for something else and only you're going to know the answer. But basically, if you're backsliding on any of your goals, it's because that other part of yourself, right? There's the part of yourself that wants to win. And there's the part of yourself that wants to be comfortable or wants something else, but definitely doesn't want to win. That other part of yourself, it sees that there is a payoff in not doing the thing for whatever reason, all right? So for example, you want to get up at 4 in the morning and go on that run, right? The other part of yourself that doesn't want to run, the payoff is the comfort. It thinks that there's more value in the comfort, it's more value in staying in the bed than in getting up and going for the run. So the first things first is you are not consciously self-sabotaging yourself. There's another part of you that is basically installing a ceiling of success. So, if I wanted to basically say that this here is you, right? You know what I mean? This is you. And then up here is your potential, right? But what's happening, right here is potential. What this other part of yourself is, what this kind of shadow side of yourself is doing, is it's basically making a deal. It's seeing the payoff and the comfort, and what that is doing is it's installing a ceiling of success, right? Ceiling of success right here. Okay, it's not allowing you to move up to your potential. And that's the first part, because a lot of the time what we do is we actually beat ourselves up and we think to ourselves, we kind of get down on ourselves, but that's not the way, because that's actually just going to hurt your confidence and your self-image even more. So what you need to do is you just need to realize there's this other part of you that wants something different, okay? That's the first step in this, is just putting awareness on it. And this is on any goal, but especially in boxing. So apply this first step of awareness to any goal that you're backsliding on and identify what the hidden payoff is. And basically what's happening is that this guy, he thinks that whatever the hidden payoff is, he thinks that the hidden payoff is worth more than the result or success that you want, okay? So that's what's happening in your brain, and that's why you keep going for this, okay? So that's the first step, is you need to become aware of the hidden payoff. Before you start beating yourself up, before you start driving yourself, nuts, you need to understand there's a hidden payoff. There's a different part of me. Don't beat yourself up. Just bring awareness to it, because what we need to do is we need to identify this hidden payoff, and then identify this other part of ourselves, and then we need to let go of that ceiling of success right there so that we can blast off into our potential, okay? So step one, awareness. All right, and I really want to emphasize that this can be applied to any goal. So let's say that, your goal is to basically fight to win in sparring, right? So sometimes we don't fight to win, right, when we want to spar. And this is just an example. I'm going to give you a couple so that I can get the gears in your mind turning. So let's just say that this is goal number 1 is to fight to win. And what's the converse of fighting to win, which is what a lot of us do when we spar, is we fight to not lose, right? So that's one goal example, right? And what's the other one? 2. 4 a.m. 3-mile run. What's the converse of this, right? This is what we want, and this is going to give us a lot of great things. This is going to give us a lot of great things. What's the converse of this? Stay in bed, feel comfortable. Right? So these are just like some ideas of some of these goals that you can apply this step of awareness onto, right? When it comes to boxing, really you can apply this to anything in life, and you should, but when it comes to boxing, and here's another one, 3, another big one. And these are actually some that I would actually audit within yourself if you're already actually doing or not doing these. Another one, for example, 100% in your training. Consistently. Okay, what's the other one that a lot of us do? We give, I don't know, let's say 45 to 60%, and then we go through the motions. Okay, so this is just some examples of what you can apply step number 1 to, right? And again, we want to define what our goals are that we're backsliding on, okay? So, these are just some ideas, but really there can be an infinite number of these, and you need to identify what all of them are and start to apply the awareness to them so that we know what we're aiming for, okay? Because, it's great, this method, you need something to aim for, okay? So pick your goals out that you're backsliding on, pick out the things that are affecting your boxing game that you're backsliding on, and apply that step to them, okay? All right, so what's the next step in this process of getting yourself to 100%? Okay, so earlier I brought up the fact that you have this part of yourself, the shadow part of yourself, that has all these hidden payoffs and basically not accomplishing your goals, right? Well, what if I told you that it's not actually 2 parts of yourself, the part that wants to win and the part that doesn't? What if I told you that there were 3 parts of yourself, okay? And I'm gonna, identify these as such, okay? So let's start at the top, right? So we've got at the very top, let's call it our higher self, okay? So this is our higher self, okay? Below that, we have our day to day self, okay? And that's what we have below our higher self. And then at the very bottom, we have our lower self, okay? All right, so at any given time when we want to accomplish any of these goals, whether it's going on that run, getting the most of our workout, just following through on those things that we know we should follow through on that would give us the results that we want in boxing or in life, we're going to find ourselves in one of these selves, okay? So maybe you're, at the gym and you're feeling, in your lower self, okay? And these are where you're going to have different types of motivations depending on which, mood or which personality you're acting through. So some days we wake up and, we want to accomplish things because, what are the motivations for accomplishing those things? Some days we're in our higher self and we want to make a difference in the world, right? We want to make the people that love us proud. We want to retire our mom with the money that we make from boxing. We want to learn how to defend ourselves in our family, right? This is our higher self where we're putting other things above us. Sometimes we're in this mode. Other days or at other times or hours of the day, we're in our day-to-day self where we're thinking very practically. Okay, well, if I learn how to box, then I can defend myself. If I work out, and I put everything into this workout, then, logically and objectively, I'm going to perform better in the ring the next time that I go to spar. If I can train properly and I can train effectively, I'm going to have less problems, basically. So this is like your day-to-day practical self. If I go on this run, I'm going to have more stamina. If I throw this punch this way, I'm going to get better results, right? So sometimes we're in our day-to-day self where we're just, our motivations are very practical and they're based on kind of what's in front of us and what's in the near future, okay? Then there's our lower self, which a lot of people in boxing, they actually operate in this version of themselves all of the time, and that is the part of ourselves that, we want to prove people wrong. We want to be better than everybody. We want to be the best. We want to be the most famous. We want to, we want everybody to love us and to know our name. We want to, just prove all those people wrong that laughed at us. That's our lower self. That's our ego, really. Okay. And really, the strength in this method, and trust me, this is powerful. And so many people are going to skip this because it's a free video. Just try it. Just try it, okay? Don't be one of those people, that just watches it. Oh, do I like it? Do I not like it? Don't be a fool. Try it and see the results for yourself. Understand that you fluctuate between these different day-to-day selves and they all have different motivations, okay? And what we are going to do in this method, and really this is the juice, the meat and potatoes of this method, is we are going to, we got to understand these different states that we fluctuate in, they all have different motivations. Sometimes we're going that way. Sometimes when we're in this state, our goal is going this way. Our motivations are pointing us this way. Sometimes our motivations are pointing us this way. These all have different motivations that are totally different and separate. Okay? And what we need to do is we need to get all of these selves. We need to get clear on what our motivations are, so that all of these selves, all of these parts of ourselves are aligned to the same goal, right? And we need to define what our motivations are so that all of these are aligned in the same goal. Imagine your goal in boxing is up here, right? Your goal is to be a successful, fighter, right? Goal right here. Whatever your goal is, and you have to define this goal, whether it's to be a world champion, whether it's to be a successful amateur, to win the Golden Gloves, to win your first amateur fight, whatever the goal is. You have to define the goal. And now what you have to do, is you have to get all of these, right? You have to get all of these aligned on the same page so that they're all shooting to the same place. And when you can do this, that is when you start to get scary good results. And your follow-through starts to become scary, okay? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute. Did he just say motivation? Did he just say motivation? Everything that I've heard in boxing is about discipline. Mike Tyson and Customato are about discipline. What are you talking about? Well, before you click off the video, let me share a personal anecdote with you that kind of illustrates this point that I'm about to make and kind of verifies it with a little bit of a stamp of approval. So when I first moved here, I remember, and this comes from somebody that grew up with Mike Tyson himself, okay? When I first moved here, I was at a job interview with several other people, and we were all sitting around the table, right? We're all sitting around the table, and the interviewer, he's asking us about where we're from. Oh my God, where are you from, Carter? And I said, oh, I'm from, Pennsylvania. I moved to New York because I want to, get involved with Customato's gym. All right, I want to get involved with Customato's gym. And the guy next to me, he starts writing down on a paper because he doesn't want to interrupt the guy that's interviewing everyone. He starts writing down names of the people at the gym that I'm going to meet. And he goes and he says, hey, do you know these people? Do you know these people at all? And I said, oh my God. He was like, yeah, I grew up with all of them. I trained at that gym growing up, right? So after the interviewer's done talking to all of us and we're on our way home, give the guy a ride home. Shout out if you're listening to this, Anthony. And he, I asked him a very simple and straightforward question that illustrates this perfectly. I said, look, I said, why do you think that, and I think there's other reasons for this as well, which I've talked about in other videos, but this is what he told me today, or on this day. I said, why do you think that some of you didn't make it as far as Mike Tyson did, even though you all trained at the same gym? Why do you think he made it so far compared to some of you? And the answer might shock you a little bit. It might not be what you expected. And what he told me was, he said, well, Carter, he said, he thought about it. He paused for about 30 seconds. He kind of looked to the side and he said, I think it's because, and he was very careful in his words. He said, I think it's because of where he came from and the motivation that he had to not go back to that place. He didn't say it was his discipline, which was an important ingredient, but he said it's because of where he came from and the motivation that he had to never go back there. This was life or death for him. And that's why it brought him so far, that motivation. That, I like to call it the why, So discipline is extremely important. You're not always going to feel like doing what you want to do. But leveraging your motivation, understanding what your why is huge in accomplishing those results that you want. Because when the why is big enough, then the how, how do we get there, it becomes easy, okay? If I told you that, there was this long, perilous journey that you had to go on, 1,000-mile trek that you had to go on, and you had to reach it, you had to cover that 1,000 miles in a certain amount of days. And I said, but if you can do it within that amount of time, if you can get there, at the end of the trek, you're going to have everything you ever wanted. All the money, all the security, the safety, the fame, the love, the admiration, the self-respect, the legacy. If you had everything you ever wanted at the end of this journey, you would find a way to get there. You would find a way to accomplish, this trek to get there within, the allotted amount of time. You would get there, okay? You would make that journey. You would do whatever it takes, all right? And so when the why is big enough, the how becomes easy, okay? And this is basically mastering the art of self-persuasion. What if at all times, no matter how we felt, we could understand how to persuade ourselves, how to give ourselves the why that would make us get up and do the thing that we needed to do, that would give us that extra boost, to give ourselves that extra 50%. That is what's important here. And that's what this method's all about. It's all about leveraging your motivation and understanding the different parts of your psychology. You still need discipline. You're not always going to feel like doing certain things. But think of the discipline as that extra 20%, that extra boost, that extra push to get you over the hill. But don't think of discipline as the propulsion system itself, okay? Because discipline requires willpower, all right? And here's the thing about willpower. You only have so much of it in a given day. And if you're operating off of pure willpower, then you are going to get burnt out, and this is why you're going to be inconsistent, okay? So yes, you need discipline, and that's a muscle that you can work on, and I'm sure that we'll shoot into other videos on that. But you also need to understand how to leverage yourself and your own psychology and your own motivation so that you can master yourself and get things done. All right, so now that you understand that there are 3 parts of yourself, what you need to do is you need to make a list of all of the different motivations that happen at all the different parts of yourself, depending on which one you're in. Okay, and we all fluctuate between these. Some of us, we operate in one the most, and really, ideally, you want to operate in the higher self most of the time, But the truth is that we all have petty desires. We all have that petty part of ourselves. We all have that part of ourselves that's just very practical, logical, and then we have that higher self that puts other things above ourselves. Right? So first, let me just give you some examples, and I want you to do a big list of your own. Do 10 to 20 motivations for each of these, but let me just give you some examples. So let's apply this, in a boxing context. What does the higher self want? I want money to retire. Let's say I'm going to retire my mother. So let's just put retire mom. That's our higher self motivation. Let's say make parents proud. make parents proud. Let's do inspire courage in others. Maybe we want to inspire the people that watch us fight, right? What are some other ones? Buy dad his dream car. Buy dad, dream car. Okay, what are some other ones? Maybe you want to start a movement, right? You want to get really famous as a fighter. You want to start a movement, right? Somebody like Muhammad Ali wanted to start a movement, right? And this sounds kind of crazy, but I know I have a lot of ambitious people watching, so get serious. Really write these down, right? You can't be a ship with no sail. You have to know where you're going, right? But these are your motivations when you're in your higher self mode. These are your motivations, right? Start a movement. Let's say buy mom a house, right? Write down 10 or 20 of these, okay? Write down like 10 or 20 of these, okay? Now, let's talk about the day-to-day self, okay? So this day-to-day, okay? So day-to-day self, this is more, for ourselves, just practical, logical reasons, okay? So let's say, the money from boxing, what's it going to do? It's going to give us a masterful performance, right? Let's say, we want that masterful performance that comes from, those goals that we have in mind, like going on those runs, giving it our all in our training, not letting ourselves develop bad habits. Let's say that, we want money from our fights, and let's say what would that money bring us? That money will bring us, dream car for ourselves. That money will allow us to have dream house. That money from those fights will allow us to buy PlayStation. Maybe we want a PlayStation. Maybe we want some games. Maybe we want to do that thing like be elusive, because what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to, not get brain damage. So we want to train really hard. We want to train our elusiveness, especially if you're doing the cuss style, because it's going to allow you to be elusive, right? We want that elusiveness. Next level elusiveness, right? Not just average elusiveness, right? Maybe we want to be able to throw punches in bunches, right? We know that if we, follow through and we practice the willy bag the correct way every day, we give it our all, we'll be able to throw punches in bunches. Okay? So these are just some, again, motivations. What are the things that are motivating us, right? I really want that elusiveness. I really want to be able to throw punches and bunches. I want the money if I fight it. If I become a prize fighter, I want that money so that I can buy, cool shit. Like maybe I can't afford a PlayStation and games right now. Maybe I can't afford that dream house or that dream car. Maybe I can't make the rent right now. Maybe I just want to put on a masterful performance, right? These are your day-to-day practical motivations of what are going to help you, right? Now, the lower self, the petty self. This is what a lot of boxers operate in. A lot of the time, but again, you want to map all these out. But the petty self, what does the petty lower level self want? To silence doubters, and you have to do all of these for yourself. I'm just giving you examples. Silence doubters. Maybe prove. Maybe there's somebody close to you that really hurt you, and you want to prove that person wrong. Get specific. Doubters is kind of general, but get more specific, right? So prove that person wrong. Prove that person wrong. Maybe we just want to rub the pie in their face and show them how good we are, right? Maybe we want to be famous. We want to be obnoxiously rich, right? Maybe we just want to be the best, right? So there's just different motivations at each level. Map out the motivations, the thing that motivate you at each level, okay? So this is the next step in the process. Once we understand that we have these three parts of ourselves, we're gonna write down the motivations for each, okay? And I want you to do this if you're watching the video and if you're taking this seriously. Just trust me, watch the results when you get clear on this stuff. All right, so the last part in this process to make sure that all these parts of yourself are aligned and that they follow through and that you don't backslide on your goals is you're gonna do a technique which requires this list, so make sure you do that. And here's what I call the technique, okay? So you're going to paint the dream, okay? But then also, and I'm going to explain what this means in a minute, but then also, you're going to paint the nightmare. Okay? Paint the dream and paint the nightmare. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that it's not enough to just know what your motivations are. You need to create a sense of urgency in yourself, okay? If you don't have a sense of urgency, you're not going to follow through. You need to know in your heart of hearts that if I don't do this stuff, bad things are going to happen, and if I do this stuff, good things are going to happen. I'm going to reach my dreams, I'm going to reach my nightmare depending on my actions, okay, and the state that I'm in. So, the way that you're going to do this is you're going to do a cause and effect list for each of these motivations, okay? So what's going to happen, so basically, for example, you're going to do a cause and effect for each of these. You're going to say, okay, what happens, what's the good thing that will happen as a result of retiring my mom? What will happen? Okay, so if I retire my mom, she's not going to have to work hard anymore. She's not going to have to be unhappy doing something, working a job she hates for such little money, okay? That's going to be the good thing. Now, what happens if I don't retire mom? Mom is going to stay working a dead-end job for the rest of her life. She's going to be sad, and I'm going to make nothing of myself in that I let my mom work a dead-end job for the rest of her life, okay? Now, make my parents proud. What happens? If I make my parents proud, better relationship with my parents. If I don't make my parents proud, worse relationship with my parents. Inspire courage in others. The world needs more courage. It needs more thought leaders. It needs more people to assert themselves. If I assert myself at a high level, if I become a famous boxer and I follow through with this goal, I'm going to inspire courage. And what that's going to do is it's going to help the world and get clear on how it helps the world. And you can really paint the dominoes for each of these, right? I retire mom. That allows mom to work a job that she loves. What happens when she works a job that she loves? You can get deep for each of these. You can do the cause and effect for each of these, right? But we're going to do it in the positive direction first, right? If I inspire, if I retire mom, this happens, right? This happens, which results in this, which results in this. If I don't retire mom, then you're going to do the negative next, right? If I don't retire mom, this happens, right? She's going to be unhappy. Then if she's unhappy, this will happen. And if that happens, then this will happen. And you're going to paint it in both directions. What's going to happen in the best case scenario? What are the cause and effects, scenarios? If I follow through on this motivation, what are the negatives and where can it go? And really get detailed and really, the objective is you want to fantasize over the good part and you want to really light a fire under your ass and get scared about the bad part, right? So you really want to get detailed in there and you want to freak yourself out with what will happen if you don't follow through on this stuff, right? So you're going to do a cause and effect going in both directions. So you're going to paint in detail. You're going to do a cause and effect for each of these of what'll happen if you follow through with the positive. So the positive, which leads to another positive, which leads to another positive, right? You're going to do this for each one on the list. This is going to take you a while, but if you're serious about your progress, you're going to do it. And then the other one, you're going to paint it in the other direction, okay? What happens if I don't follow through on this thing? Then this negative thing will happen. Then this negative thing will happen. Then this negative thing. And make this the worst of the worst, okay? Really paint it, write all of this down. Write it out, okay? Write it out. Turn your damn phone off and write this stuff out, okay? And really spend time with yourself and get to know yourself and what your motivations are in this journey of becoming a better fighter, okay? Or whatever goal. Like I said, you can apply this method to whatever goal you want, okay? And you're going to do that with all of these, okay? And this is going to take you some time. But the clearer that you can paint the dream and the clearer that you can paint the nightmare, the bigger your why is going to be, the more motivation you're going to have, so that no matter what, whenever you wake up in the morning, if you're on your higher self, you're going to have a why. You're going to have all these different reasons that you got to go and do that thing. You're going to have all these different reasons to go on that run, because all of this is going to come out of that goal, right? You have your day-to-day self, all right? What's going to happen if I, accomplish this goal? And again, these fall under the umbrella of each goal, right? So whatever your goal is, right? You have this goal. And then within that goal, you're going to paint the motivations for each self. So that if you wake up and you're just feeling petty, boom, you got all the motivation you need, right? If you what happens if I don't silence the doubters and everybody just laughs at me? I look like a freaking loser. I make nothing of myself, right? Get petty with it. Get the day-to-day ones, get the higher ones. You're going to have a reason no matter what mood you're in. And you're going to have so much fire under you to go and accomplish these things in your life. You will become unstoppable. This is the art of self-persuasion. And if you can persuade yourself, you will be unstoppable. You will reach your full potential. This is not a magic pill. This is a way of being. This has to become your life. But if you can make this how you live your life, if you can do this self-auditing and you can map out your motivations for your goals, paint the dream, paint the nightmare, you are going to succeed at a level that you've never succeeded before. You are going to increase your abilities as a fighter, as a human being, build character at a level that you didn't think was possible, all right? So, that's the method. Do it. Don't let this be another video that you watch, okay? Paint the dream, paint the nightmare, understand yourself, and watch. Don't take my word for it. Just do it and watch how your life changes, all right? So, I want to thank you so much for being here with me tonight. This is going to change your life if you do it. Go ahead and do it. As always, I will see you in the next video.